Have you ever wondered if that special someone is secretly in love with you? Have you caught yourself analyzing every word, every gesture, searching for signs that confirm what you desperately want to know? Today, I'm going to reveal the secret codes that, according to attraction psychology, expose when someone is in love with you but doesn't dare tell you directly. Get ready, because after this video, you'll never look at social interactions the same way again. Do you know why most men fail when trying to figure out if a woman is interested? Because they're looking in all the wrong places. While you're focused on explicit words, you're missing 93% of real communication. Neil Strauss discovered this after years of studying human behavior. When a woman is secretly in love, her body speaks a language that her words cannot hide. The first secret code you need to know: when a woman changes her body language in your presence, she's revealing feelings that even she can't control. Watch for this. When you enter a room, does she suddenly adjust her posture? Does she unconsciously touch her hair? Does she orient her body toward you even when talking to other people? These aren't casual gestures. They're automatic responses coming from the limbic system, the part of the brain we can't consciously control. Strauss discovered that the female brain is programmed to physically react to the presence of someone they're attracted to, even when they're trying to hide it. It's an evolutionary mechanism designed to maximize the chances of connecting with a potential partner. Next time you're near her, pay attention. If you notice her pupils dilate when she looks at you, if she unconsciously mirrors your movements, or if she gets closer than necessary to hear you, it's not a coincidence. Here's a practical exercise. Next time you're with her, slightly change your position. If she, without realizing it, adjusts hers to maintain the same proximity to you, you've just received the first unmistakable signal. Imagine there's an invisible thread connecting your energy to hers. When you move, that thread tightens, and she unconsciously responds to maintain the connection. And this is just the beginning of what a woman reveals without words when she's in love. Would you like to master this secret language so you never again doubt the signals you're receiving? Make sure to keep watching until the end, because every minute of this video brings you closer to understanding what she really feels for you. The second revealing code is in the verbal mirror she creates when talking to you. When a woman is secretly in love, without being aware of it, she begins to adopt your expressions, your speech rhythm, and even your characteristic phrases. Strauss calls it linguistic synchronization, and it's one of the most powerful but least known signs of romantic interest. Think about it. Have you noticed that she suddenly uses words that are typical of your vocabulary, or adopts expressions of yours that weren't previously part of her way of speaking? The human brain is designed to create connections through similarity. When someone is attracted to you, they unconsciously try to establish bridges of familiarity. This phenomenon isn't coincidence or conscious imitation. It's the external manifestation of a deep neurological process. When we feel attracted to someone, our mirror neurons activate with greater intensity. These neurons are responsible for empathy and human connection, and when they're in full operation, they make us adopt patterns from the person we're interested in. A woman in love, even if she tries to hide it, won't be able to avoid this phenomenon. She'll start using your same expressions, adopt your speaking rhythm, and might even start becoming interested in topics that are important to you, not out of obligation, but from a genuine desire for connection. If she never used to talk about certain topics and now mentions them when she's with you, it's because she's creating a bridge to your world. Try this exercise. Introduce an unusual but not strange word or expression into your conversation, something that isn't common in daily vocabulary, but also not so weird that it draws attention. Observe if in the next conversations she naturally incorporates that word. If she does, it's not a coincidence or chance. It's her brain actively building a connection channel with you. Have you realized how many signals you might be missing by not knowing how to interpret this language? The good news is that once you learn to recognize these patterns, they become impossible to ignore. And we're just beginning to decipher this secret code. Stay tuned, because what comes next will reveal even deeper aspects of how a woman communicates her interest without saying it directly. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point: how time becomes the third unmistakable sign that she's secretly in love. Neil Strauss explains it brilliantly. The most valuable resource we have is not money, it's time. When a woman decides to invest her time in you, especially when she doesn't have to, she's making the most valuable investment possible. Observe this carefully. Does she find ways to extend conversations with you? Does she respond to your messages quickly even though she's a busy person? Does she create opportunities to be in the same spaces? Time is a resource we never get back, and we're all extremely selective about who we share it with, even when we're not aware of it. Attraction psychology shows us that, when in doubt, we should always observe where a person invests their time, not what they say. Words can lie, but time priorities rarely do. A woman in love will find ways to be close to you, even when there's no practical reason to do so. Strauss discovered something fascinating in his studies. When analyzing interactions between people with mutual but undeclared attraction, he found patterns of planned coincidences, situations where she casually appeared in places where she knew she might find you. It's not stalking or obsession, it's simply the human brain creating opportunities for what it truly desires. This phenomenon has deep evolutionary roots. For thousands of years, humans have developed mechanisms to maximize time near potential partners without seeming too obvious, a strategy that minimizes the risk of rejection while increasing the chances of connection. Here's a revealing exercise. Next time you casually mention a place or event you're planning to attend, observe her reaction. Don't invite her directly, just mention your plans. If she finds a way to be there, you've discovered one of the most powerful signs of hidden romantic interest. But there's something even more subtle than time that very few men know how to interpret. Would you like to discover the fourth sign that practically confirms she's in love with you? Keep watching, because you're about to access knowledge that will completely change how you interpret interactions with women who interest you. The fourth secret code is in selective vulnerability, a pattern that Strauss identified as one of the most reliable indicators of hidden romantic interest. When a woman is in love but doesn't want to reveal it directly, she begins to share aspects of her life with you that she doesn't share with others. This selective vulnerability is an unconscious way to create intimacy and emotional connection. Have you noticed that she tells you dreams, fears, or personal experiences that seem reserved? Does she share her insecurities or her deepest hopes with you? When a woman allows you into her inner world, she's giving you access to a privileged space. It's not something she does with just anyone. Psychology shows us that vulnerability is a double-edged mechanism. It exposes us to risk, but also creates the conditions for deep connections. A woman who is secretly in love will use vulnerability as a bridge to emotional intimacy, even before openly acknowledging her feelings. What's fascinating is that this process usually happens gradually and almost imperceptibly. It begins by sharing small concerns or joys, testing your reaction, evaluating if you're a safe space. If you respond with empathy and without judgment, the vulnerability will increase, creating an increasingly deeper connection. According to Strauss, this exchange of vulnerabilities is like a carefully choreographed dance. She takes a step by sharing something personal, observes your response, and decides whether to take the next step. It's not manipulation. It's the natural process of building intimacy between two people when attraction exists. Here's a transformative exercise. Next time she shares something personal with you, respond with genuine interest, and then, naturally, share something of a similar level of vulnerability. If she continues deepening the intimacy of her revelations, you're facing a clear sign of romantic interest. This exchange of vulnerabilities creates a safe space between you, a shared universe where you can be authentic. And that authenticity is the most fertile ground for true love. Do you realize the power of understanding these codes? You no longer need to guess or interpret ambiguous signals. You're learning to read what really matters. And if you've made it this far, get ready, because we're about to reveal the fifth sign, the most powerful of all, the one that practically confirms she's in love with you, even if she doesn't say it in words. Stay until the end, because this information might be exactly what you need to take the next step with confidence. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point: how proximity conflict becomes the fifth and most revealing sign that she's secretly in love. This phenomenon, widely studied by Strauss, is perhaps the most powerful indicator, but also the most misinterpreted by most men. Proximity conflict occurs when a woman simultaneously experiences the desire to get closer and the fear of revealing too much of her feelings. This internal battle creates seemingly contradictory behavior that confuses most men. One moment she seems extremely close, and the next she creates distance. Has it happened to you that she seems very interested, even flirtatious with you, but then suddenly becomes distant or even mentions other people she's interested in? Or perhaps she cancels plans at the last minute, but immediately proposes an alternative. These aren't signs of disinterest or emotional immaturity. They're classic manifestations of proximity conflict. What's really happening is fascinating from a psychological perspective. When a woman starts to feel she's showing too much interest, she gets scared. Not because she doesn't like you, but precisely because she likes you too much. This fear of vulnerability activates self-protection mechanisms that lead her to create temporary distance. Strauss explains it perfectly. The fear of rejection is proportional to the level of interest. The more you matter to her, the more afraid she is of getting hurt, and the more elaborate these distancing mechanisms can be. The ironic thing is that many men interpret this behavior as lack of interest, when in reality it's quite the opposite. The definitive proof that you're facing a proximity conflict and not real disinterest is in the pattern: distancing followed by approach. If she creates distance but always finds a way to reconnect with you, you're witnessing this dance of attraction in its purest form. Here's a revealing exercise. Next time you feel she's distancing herself without apparent reason, give her space without showing insecurity or annoyance. Don't chase her or show anxiety. Simply maintain your center and observe how, in most cases, she'll find a way to re-establish the connection. When this happens, you'll have confirmed that the distancing wasn't rejection, but part of this dance of attraction. This knowledge is tremendously powerful because it allows you to stay centered and confident even when the signals seem confusing. Instead of reacting with insecurity to temporary distancing, you can understand it as a natural part of the process, maintaining your value and attractiveness. Do you realize how many misunderstandings could be avoided if more men understood this dynamic? How many potential connections are lost because we misinterpret these signals? The good news is that now you have this knowledge, and this puts you in a privileged position. Before concluding, let me share with you the practical application of everything we've learned, because knowing these signs is the first step, but knowing how to respond to them effectively is what will truly transform your results. When you identify these signs, the most important thing is to maintain calm and confidence. Don't react with desperation or try to force a confession. Remember that if she's secretly in love, she needs to feel she can reveal it at her own pace without pressure. Instead of directly confronting her about her feelings, create spaces of gradual intimacy where the connection can naturally deepen. Use your knowledge of these signs to calibrate your own steps, advancing when she shows openness and giving her space when you notice signs of proximity conflict. The most powerful thing you can do is reflect the level of interest she shows, adding a bit more intensity gradually. This technique, which Strauss calls reciprocal escalation, allows attraction to grow organically, without jumps that might activate her defense mechanisms. Practice this mantra that will help you maintain the right perspective. I recognize the true signs of interest and respond with confidence, patience, and authenticity. Repeat this phrase whenever you feel confused by seemingly contradictory behaviors. The power of understanding these secret codes isn't in manipulating feelings, but in creating the space for them to naturally flourish. When you can see beyond words and understand the deeper language of attraction, you become a man who responds with emotional intelligence instead of reacting from insecurity. Now that you know these 5 infallible signs, you have an advantage that very few men possess. You've learned to see what's hidden in plain sight, to correctly interpret what most misinterpret, and to respond in a way that builds attraction instead of sabotaging it. If you've made it this far, it's because you really care about understanding the deep psychology of attraction. And that curiosity, that desire to understand beyond the superficial, is precisely what sets you apart. It's what will allow you to create authentic and powerful connections. Think about all the signals you've been receiving and perhaps misinterpreting. How many opportunities have been lost by not knowing how to read these codes? But that's in the past. From today, you have the tools to see the truth behind every interaction. Now you have a mission. Apply this knowledge in your next interaction with that special person. Observe with new eyes, interpret with new wisdom, and respond from a place of confidence and understanding. The results will surprise you. If this video has revealed something valuable to you, if it has made you see past interactions in a new light, write below, "I choose to see the true signs of interest and respond with confidence." Declare this commitment to yourself and observe how your romantic interactions begin to transform. Share this video with that friend who's always confused by the signals they receive, with that colleague who doesn't understand why their relationships don't progress despite mutual interest. This knowledge might be exactly what they need to take the next step with confidence. Never again will you have to wonder if she's interested. Never again will you confuse signs of attraction with indifference. You've learned the secret language of romantic interest, and that knowledge will accompany you in every future interaction. Remember, true power isn't in manipulating feelings, but in creating the space for them to naturally flourish. Be patient, be observant, and above all, be authentic. Because in the end, the most powerful connection arises when two people can show themselves completely genuine with each other. The next time you find yourself in front of that special person, remember everything you've learned today. Observe her body language, pay attention to her verbal synchronization, notice how she invests her time, recognize her selective vulnerability, and understand her proximity conflict. In those signs, you'll find the truth that words don't always reveal. And when you see those signs, when you confirm that yes, she is secretly in love, you'll have the confidence to take the next step, to create the space where those feelings can be freely expressed. That moment of revelation, that instant when the unsaid is finally said, is one of the most powerful moments in any relationship. And now, you have the tools to reach it with confidence and clarity.